Hi guys, my name is Mayana and today I'm going to be talking about why you should diversify your reading. I really wanted to do like a fun video today or a simple video. I don't know if you remember, but like back in 17, 18, 19, discussion videos were very popular in the book community. And I don't know why, but I was just like watching this video last night, and it was just this random creator that I had followed because I was watching a video at like 3 a.m. and I was looking at her bookshelves behind her because I was so happy that she had a bookshelf, and I was like looking at all the like books that she had and the authors that she had, and I realized that it wasn't very diverse. And then just in watching that video, I just got like so sad, and at 3 a.m. I just started writing the script. I was like, we need to talk about this. But there are so many times that I've been watching like a creator that I love, like a TikToker or a YouTuber, like someone not in the book community, and they will be talking about the fact that they're reading the book, and I will become so happy because I'm like, oh my gosh, yay, people are reading. And then they'll hold up Sarah J. Maas, Colleen Hoover, or the book Fourth Wing, especially when it's like a black creator. That's when I'm like really sad. And I know it's because these are like the popular books that are like being recommended in the book community. When people start reading for the first time, they just read whatever's popular. Like people don't know how to search for recommendations. People don't know how to find things that they'll like. I get so many questions all the time on like how to find books to read, which I think is it's like such a strange question to me because I've always been in the book community, so I'm never gonna have a book not to read because I have so many different like TBRs everywhere. And also I Google tropes. Like I will literally get on Google and be like roommate to lover trope, enemies to lover trope, and then I'll click on Goodreads list because people make their own, like they're usually like made by real people, so then I can actually get recommendations that aren't just like popular books. Yeah, I'm aware not everyone knows that like these authors are problematic, or not everyone cares, and I can't spend all of my time sitting here trying to educate people on why it's bad to read an author, because at the end of the day, if they don't care, they don't care. Like that's on them, and I understand that. But I think at the same time, if you're not gonna give a fuck, you could at least diversify your reading. And even if you do care, I still think it's important in general to diversify what you're consuming in your books, because I don't believe in like mindlessly reading. I don't believe in like turning your brain off to read. I think that the point of books is to like, consume things and to learn things, because otherwise you could just watch a TV show or a movie. Like a lot of books are adapted into movies, so like why read the book when you can just read the movie? I think that like reading is, I don't think that like, I mean, it is a hobby, and like, yeah, it is for fun, but I think that you can have fun and still learn at the same time. I think that is kind of just a shitty excuse to just read what you want to read. And if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm just saying this is my personal thoughts. Like I can't control everyone and how everyone reads. And I'm also not like saying that these authors like Colleen Hoover or Sarah J. Maas or the Fourth Wing author, which like I'm not saying that they need to write diversely. I'm not saying that like non-POC authors need to write diversely, because like you can't force someone's hand to like do something that they don't want to do, because that's how you end up with shitty representation. That's how you end up with shitty characters in books, and that's how you end up with shitty books, when you force someone to do something that they don't want to do, and like they feel like they have to do this because all of their readers are complaining. And as readers, we can very much tell when like you aren't doing your research, or you're writing this to not out of like the goodness of your heart. Like I do think it's important for authors to write diversely, but if that's not your forte, that's not your forte. I just won't be picking it up. I'll just pick up a book by a diverse author. I'm also not saying that like every book you read needs to be diverse, and you need to be someone who only reads a specific type of books. Like for me personally, I read everything. I don't know why, I just have this like need to read everything that's offered out there. Even if I say that I don't want to, I still get curious, and like I might check it out a little bit. Like I'm a curious person, curious like a cat, unfortunately. So I'm not saying that like every single book that you need to read needs to be diverse, but I still think that like you need to incorporate diversity reading into your reading habits. Like for me personally, I try to read 50% diverse books rather that be people of color, black characters slash authors, different sexualities, or even disabilities. Like, I just try to keep my reading 50% that. And so far it's something I've been doing for about 2 years now, and I actually wish I would have started sooner. Me, it's important to read about people of different race, sexualities, and disabilities. Learn how to be more compassionate with others, but not just that. There are so many reasons why you should be reading diversities. For example, like I said, to be more compassionate, or because it's really hard for authors of color and queer authors to get published in general. And I think that like reading them will show publishing companies, hey, this is what I want to be reading. Like, this is something that I'm interested in. It is so disheartening when like I'm looking through like recommendations or a catalog or like NetGalley, for instance, and I'll be looking up a specific publishing company, and it'll just have books upon books of just diverse authors, and that's just like, it's just something that's like accepted. But also I think it's important because a lot of diverse authors' books are literally amazing. Like, they're better than like your Sarah J. Maas's and your Fourth Wings. And I'm using 3 specific authors as an example because if you are someone who's not in the book community and you're looking for recommendations, they are the first 3 that people are going to recommend. When you are in a live stream and you're talking about books, those are the first 3 authors that people are going to bring up. When you are talking about books in the comments and you say, hey, give me some recommendations, those are the first 3 authors that are brought up. And a lot of times, and honestly, as someone who's a seasoned reader, they suck. They're ass. And a lot of like diverse authors have some of the most amazing books I've ever read. They're some of my most favorite books that I've ever read. Growing up, I've always been a reader. I've been a huge reader ever since I was in 2nd grade, once I learned how to read, because my teacher used to do one of those things where they would every day that you read a book, if you read a book a day and you logged it, you got a pizza party. So I would force my dad to read with me because one thing, I still love reading, I still love pizza. So I will be like, listen, we are gonna get this Pizza Hut gift card, or you will be taking me to Pizza Hut out of your pockets. And my dad used to read to me. It's like one of my most fond like memories growing up is my dad reading to me, and like all of my favorite books like Bambi and Snow White and Green Eggs and Ham, and this like random ass Barbie book that I had that I like absolutely loved. And I've been a reader ever since then. Although I did not read popular books, I was a huge John Green girl in high school, but like I didn't read popular books. I didn't like reading books to like movies that I loved, and I always watched movies. So like Percy Jackson, Vampire Academy, Twilight, I didn't read those books. And like as an adult, I'm now reading those things because for some reason I just didn't care to. I'm like, oh well, this is already a story, like what's the point, when like a lot of the times the books are different than the movies anyways. So I don't know what was up to that. And one thing about like having reading since then is that I never saw myself in a character. POC people or non-queer people, like they just get to pick up a book or turn on a TV show or a movie and just know that they're always going to see themselves. Honestly, even when the show is like primarily like a specific, like even if the show is like primarily black people, there will always be one white person. Okay, I will never forget watching The Get Down and being like, oh my gosh, it's just so many black and Latino people, and then there's like one white man, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? You know, it's like, or you can be watching like a show that has a whole Asian cast, and then here comes a white man. So it's like you can turn on a show that's not even technically for you, and you're still gonna see a non-POC person in it. And it's like 4 years as a reader, I felt like I could never read a character that like looked like me and had like a similar personality as me. And then growing, like as I start to grow up, and like now as an adult, there are characters like that, like YA characters that look like me and are similar to me. And it's like, I wish that I would have had that growing up. Like I wish that I didn't have to read primarily like non-POC books. And like publishing has came so far since then. Like it does make me happy knowing that like my little cousins or like my future kids, like they will have characters that look like them. So it's like I might not have been able to have that, but I'm gonna keep fighting for my future children and future like younger generations of black people or people of color, and to have books with characters that look like them and not be the side character. One of my favorite books ever is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and it is about a dark-skinned Asian girl who gets in the military during the time that this fictional fictional China and Japan are at war, and it was so interesting reading a character who didn't look like me, but what like and like what she was going through as like an Asian person, like growing up poor and growing up being dark skinned, because even though I'm not Asian, I do relate to like being dark skinned. So I understand how it feels to be treated like less than just because the color of your skin. And so to have that, but like with a different race, was so interesting to read from. Also, Ren is badass. Like that is one badass bitch. Okay, that is one badass, like that is one badass girly. I love her to pieces. Like, and the book in general is just so amazing. Or like I read The Sword of Kaigen. I love that book. It was so amazing. It felt like I was watching an anime. And it's like, it's so crazy that like there are people who are refusing to like read that, or like they don't, it's not that they well, they are refusing to, but they don't want to admit it, but they're like, oh yeah, I'll read this diverse book later, and then like they never do. And it's like so unfortunate, because your favorite character could be in one of these books. These books like could have one of your favorite universes ever. They could have one of your favorite romances ever, because the Poppy War, not that it has romance, because I don't want people seeing this and be like, oh my gosh, the Poppy War has romance. It doesn't. I'm just delusional. One of my favorite things in books is when there's little to no romance, so then I can like put my delusions in there and like imagine my own romance. I love it. One of my favorite romance books is The Bride Test. It's the least popular book in the series. Well, the third book sucks. I think that should be, but like I kind of think of it as a duology. I'm sorry. Yeah, so a lot of people don't like The Bride Test. Like, they prefer The Kiss Quotient, which is the first book. But, like, I love The Bride Test. It was everything that I needed. It's basically about this girl who's from Vietnam, and she's brought to America to marry a guy with autism, and they're both Asian characters. And it was so interesting. The whole series follows someone falling in love with someone with autism, showing that people with autism can fall in love, but also with the added layer of them being Asian, and like that being another diversity was just so nice to read from. And like the Bride Test is about, you know, this girl from Vietnam who's brought to America to fake, like, it's like marriage of convenience guy with autism, and like they end up falling in love. And it has like one of my favorite scenes in a romance book where like she like injures her leg, and he like, if I can remember correctly, she like injures her leg, and he like runs to the hospital, and he's like picking her up, acting like she's like this fragile little doll, and like he had kind of been ignoring her the entire book. And it's kind of like one of those romances where it's like he kind of keeps her at a standstill because he's so in love with her. Also, it's really nice reading romance books with Black girls. Like, I remember the first romance book I read was The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Although I kind of actually fucking hate that book, it still was one of the first adult romances. The first romance book I read with a Black girl was Everything, Everything. And I actually relate to that book like so much. Like, as someone who grew up feeling like trapped in my house and like all I had was to read, and I was also obsessed with Nick Robinson, that book meant everything to me. But like, The Wedding Day was my first adult romance, and it also was like, and it was just like very nice. And now like there's so many adult romances with Black girls. Like, you have the Brown sisters, and there's so many romances with Black love to show that like Black women are worthy of love, and to show how important like Black love is in like books, and to just get those like negative stereotypes that people have that you see online of like the struggle love tropes and like good Black romance books, and like the ignorant things that people say about Black romance. So to have like authors writing in that genre and just writing like fun, and like I'll read anything. Like, it doesn't have to be like, it can be struggle love for all I care. Like, as long as it's like romance and it's fun and I'm having a good time, I'm gonna eat it up. But it's so nice to see these books are being traditionally published. Like, it just sucks like reading so much of a trope and like not having like you're seeing yourself in that trope. Like, when hockey romances was blowing up, it took like such a long time to get like Black characters in like hockey romances, or like cowgirl romances were very popular at the time. And when Beyonce was releasing Cowboy Carter, I wanted to read like cowboy romances with Black characters, and they were like really, really hard to find. Like, I found like 5, I think. Okay. And like, or like maybe I want to read queer ones, or maybe I want to read ones with disabilities. Like, it's so hard. Or like, I love Omegaverse. I'm exposing myself here, okay? I'm a Omegaverse girly. I've loved Omegaverse since I was in high school, and like, it sucks that like the trope is like now just starting to get popular. At least with Omegaverse, when I was reading in high school, it was like more so fan fiction, and like I could just self-insert and like, you know, whatever. But like now seeing all these Omegaverse books, and like none of them have like black characters, or like reverse harem is also one of my favorite tropes. And or like there's actually more poly romances with black characters, but like reverse harem, like I can't really think of any. Like, there's one that I can think of, and it's black love, period. Like, it's between like one girl and like four black guys, but there aren't many like reverse harem with black girls that I can think of. And I'm saying things about like black people because I am black, so like I don't want to speak over like anyone else's experience, or, you know, anything like that. But it just sucks like wanting to read a trope and like having to wait like months or years to like see yourself represented, and then non-POC able-bodied straight people can just pick up a book. Like, they can just start reading a trope and like that's it. Which is why I love monster romances, because it is so diverse, okay? You could find anything and monster romances, okay? And see someone that looks like you. I was talking to my friend Levi about this the other day, and he was saying because it's just a bunch of outcasts writing themselves like in this trope. Like, people who already felt left out are like writing themselves in this trope. And it's so crazy. I read A Black Girl with Two Aliens. I read female. I've read female. Okay, I've read like female male. You don't see these things in like mainstream media. Like, you'll see like male female, or like male, like male, but you won't see like female. And personally, for me, I prefer to read sapphic romances because I feel like it's a very underrepresentation. I feel like it's very underrepresented. And then also, like, I don't know, I just prefer sapphic romances, because I just feel like they aren't written a lot. Like, it's so much easier to just go and find like a male romance, especially with like how y'all know that stereotype of white women being obsessed with male. Like, come on now. So like, personally, for me, I prefer to read sapphic. Like, I'm not saying I'm not gonna read male or anything like that. Like, I'm just like not reading at all. I just prefer female, and I can find a lot of that within monster lovers. I've read some really good books. I think I have a recommendation somewhere if you care for that. Lastly, I just want to say that like, I don't think that you should be reading diversity for diversity points. I think that it's just something that you should want to do. Like, you should want to open your taste. My biggest goal in the book community is to just get people to expand their reading. I am a reader of everything. There's not a genre that has not seen me. There's not a genre that won't be seeing me. Even if I say, oh, I don't care about this, I will care eventually, okay? I love reading everything and just getting out of my comfort zone and trying new things out when it comes to reading. And I really want other people to try that as well. And I think that reading diversely is a good way to try that. So now I'm going to recommend you guys some diverse books. These are pretty much all books that I've given 5 stars. I'm not gonna lie to you. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, The Brown Sisters by Talia Hibbert, literally any Anne Liang book, like If You Could See the Sun or I Hope This Email Doesn't Reach You. Those books are so amazing. The Kiss Quotient series, The Bride Test being the one I love the most. Only for the Week, that was such a fun, like, quick black love romance. Lipsticks and Camera Clicks is a really good love triangle. A Dowry of Blood, Woman Eating, which is about a girl who is half vampire but also half white, half Asian. Convenience Store Woman, The Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. I never say this. I usually just say The Time I Got Drunk. I never say the full title because it's so long. The Spanish Love Deception, This Is How You Lose the Time War. Sweet Hand, Arsenic and Adobo, Undead Girl Gang, which is one of my favorite books that I read when I first joined the book community, and like nobody talks about that book to this day. Yeah, that is all for this video. I hope that you check out some of these books. I hope that you really consider diversifying your reading, and I'll see you guys in the next video.